Students, as far as that first chapter is concerned, we have completed that chapter, including street food and rancidity, right? Then we had even studied about the corrosion of different metals. Corrosion of iron is known as rusting. Silver gets a black coating of silver sulfide. Copper gets a greenish coating of basic copper carbonate, and all these things we are studied. Now, I'm not touching any new topic, so let us study that the exercise questions, whatever is being given. There is on the last exercise, you see this one. Which of the statement about the reaction below are correct? PbO plus C becomes Pb plus CO2. And it is written, lead is getting reduced, carbon dioxide is getting oxidized, carbon dioxide is getting oxidized, carbon is getting oxidized, lead dioxide is getting reduced. Now, as far as this redox is concerned, what we should know, only the reactants get oxidized or reduced to the product. Understood it? The reactants gets reduced or oxidized to the product. And we even studied it. Loss of oxygen is known as reduction, and addition of oxygen is known as oxidation. So you must look for the reactants. Now there are two reactants. One is lead oxide and one is carbon. So when the reactant is lead oxide and the product side it is lead, that means lead oxide has lost its oxygen. Loss of oxygen is known as reduction. So what do we say? Lead oxide is reduced to lead. Understood it? And the second one, the reactant is carbon and the product is carbon dioxide. So what has happened? To the carbon, oxygen is added. So what we can say, carbon is oxidized to carbon dioxide. You understood it clearly? Only you must look for the reactants. Reduction and oxidation take place of the reactants to get the product. You understood it clearly? So what can we say that? Lead oxide is the reactant and carbon is another reactant. So the lead oxide in the reactant side, when it comes to the product side, it becomes lead. So what we can say, lead oxide has lost its oxygen and loss of oxygen is known as reduction. So lead oxide is reduced to lead. Understood it? Carbon in the reactant and the product side has got carbon dioxide. Therefore, we can say carbon is oxidized to carbon dioxide. Right? Since carbon is oxidized, it is a reducing agent, and lead oxide is reduced, therefore it is oxidizing agent. Clear that? So whatever it is. Now the next one is Fe2O3 plus Al becomes Al2O3 plus Fe. This is an example of different things, and we are studying the reaction of displacement. A more reactive element displaces less reactive element from its compound. So Fe2O3 is a compound, aluminum is the element, and the product has become Al2O3 plus Fe. So less reactive Fe is being displaced or substituted by aluminum. Therefore, it is a reaction of displacement. Now, the next one is, what happens when dilute hydrochloric acid is added to iron filings? What happens when diluted HCl is added to iron filings? Iron filings position of Fe is above hydrogen in the activity series. Position of hydrogen is above hydrogen in the activity series, and therefore we can say all those metals which are above hydrogen will displace hydrogen from diluted acid. So what is observation? Hydrogen gas and iron chloride is formed. Fe plus HCl, it becomes FeCl2 plus H2. Hydrogen gas, and this one is. Understood it? Then write balance equation. Why should chemical equation be balanced? That we have discussed it earlier. A chemical equation must be balanced so as to obey the law of conservation of mass. Translate the following statements into chemical equations and then balance it. You can do that. Hydrogen H2 plus N2 becomes NS3. You know, most of the common compound, their molecular formula, you should know that. Most of the common compounds, like ammonia is NS3. And remember, you will be getting questions of those things which are given in the NCERT, nothing beyond that. All right. Hydrogen sulfide burns in air to give water and sulfur dioxide. H2S plus oxygen will give H2O plus SO2. You can balance it. Barium chloride reacts with aluminum sulfate, BaCl2 plus Al2SO4 whole thrice. Barium chloride aqueous, aluminum sulfate aqueous, it bonds. Barium sulfate plus AlCl3, complete that. Potassium metal reacts with water to give potassium hydroxide and hydrogen. K plus H2O becomes KOH plus H2. This is all similar to that of sodium plus water. The same this thing, you can balance it. The rest is the balance the chemical equation. You can do that, all these things. Just trial and error, you can do that easily. Now all these are now coming back to the question number 9. What does one mean by exothermic and endothermic reactions? Exo means heat is released and endo means it is absorbed. So you can give any examples where the heat is released. Simplest example, hydrogen burns in air to produce H2O, heat is released. Calcium carbonate on heating decomposed to form calcium oxide and carbon dioxide, thermal decomposition, that is endothermic. Understood it? Why respiration is considered exothermic? You know that our body requires energy for our day-to-day activities, and that energy is we get it from the food what we eat, which on oxidation. And all oxidation process, reduction process is where energy is released. So respiration is a process by which the food is burned and which releases energy. So therefore it is energy is released, therefore it is known as exothermic reaction. That's the reaction which make your body warm. You know, we all are warm-blooded animals. Our body temperature is fixed, whether it is winter or summer, it remains somewhat like a normal, healthy person. So that is how it is known as exothermic reaction. Exothermic in the sense that we don't feel the heat, but one can say that energy is released, which makes the reaction exothermic. Why are decomposition reaction opposite of combination? We have studied that when number of reactants combine and we get a single product, that is a reaction of combination, and a single reactant decomposed to give more than one, that is a reaction of decomposition, combination and decomposition. All right. Write one equation for the reaction where heat is absorbed, reaction of decomposition where energy is absorbed in the form of heat, light, or electricity. We have studied that thermal decomposition. All carbonates on heating decompose and forms calcium metallic oxide and carbon dioxide. Light, silver bromide becomes silver and bromine. Electricity, H2O on electrolysis gives hydrogen plus oxygen. This is any example again. It's not necessary what is going to the NCERT should be given. Sodium chloride, on electrolysis we get sodium and chlorine. Remember, all highly reactive metals are extracted by the electrolytic reduction or electrolysis of their molten compound. All highly reactive metals up to aluminum. We have studied it, how aluminum is extracted. Electrolysis of Al2O3. When Al2O3 is electrolyzed, we get aluminum and oxygen. So any example one can give it. And remember, the metal get collected at cathode and the non-metal is getting collected at anode. That is what you should remember. Understood it? When H2O is electrolyzed, hydrogen is collected at cathode and oxygen is collected at anode. For example, if we are going to electrolyze HCl, we get hydrogen at cathode and chlorine at anode. Also, hydrogen is the only non-metal which is chemically metallic in nature. Therefore, all metals are collected at cathode because metals are electropositive. And the electropositive one goes to the negative electrode, that is a cathode. You know that opposite charges will be attracted. So the positively charged ions will go towards the cathode and they get reduced over there. And the negatively charged ions will go to the anode and they get oxidized over there. So non-metals get collected at anode and metal get collected at cathode. You can give any example. Understood it? Magnesium chloride, when electrolyzed, we get magnesium and chlorine. Magnesium will be collected at cathode and chlorine is collected at anode. And remember, when a metal is extracted by the electrolysis, then it must be in the molten form. Otherwise, the liberated metal will react with the solvent and something else will be formed. All right? Then in the remaining displacement means an element is displaced from a compound, and double displacement is no displacement. In fact, mutual exchange of ions are taking place. Remember, the reactants have got 4 ions as far as double displacement is concerned, and when we see the product, only 2 ions are formed and 2 ions are, they don't ionize. That means they will be either in the form of precipitate or in the form of a gas. You understood it well? Whereas in reaction displacement, a more reactive element displaces or substitutes another element. That is only displacement is. Precipitation reaction is an example of double displacement. Not anything you can, but you should know the solubility. Suppose like if you write on sodium chloride plus calcium nitrate will give calcium chloride plus sodium nitrate. That is not the reaction of double displacement. It's not the reaction of precipitate. So when you make any examples of precipitation, you must know that which is the precipitate. You should know that which is the precipitate. So for that easiest one, as far as the 10th class is concerned, the examples that are given in the NCERT book is more than enough. Examples that are given in the NCERT book is more than enough. Otherwise, you should know that. Say, for example, the sulfates of barium, calcium, strontium are insoluble. Hydroxides of all metals except sodium, potassium, lithium are insoluble. Aluminum hydroxide, copper hydroxide, etc. are insoluble. So in that method, we can make the solubility. And once we know the solubility, remember when it is a precipitate means it is an insoluble. So don't make the mistake of writing two soluble products. Understood it? So one product has to be insoluble, then only it becomes a precipitate. A shiny brown colored element on heating in air becomes black in color. Name the element black colored compound. The shiny brown colored element. This is the only brown colored element that is metal, which is copper. Understood it? Metals are classified broadly into two, colored and white metals. There are only two metals which are colored. You know that gold and copper. Gold is golden in color, copper is reddish brown. So when it is heated strongly in oxygen, we get copper oxide. Understood it? And that is the reason. The next one is, why do we apply paint on iron particles? Iron particles will be rusted in air. To prevent the rusting of iron, we need to paint it. So paint is done to give a protective coating. That means the metal should not come in contact with humid air. We had studied iron will be rusted in humid air. Iron will be rusted in humid air. So we should protect the rusting by making the metal not coming in contact with humid air. That means we cover it with a paint. When painting is done, the metal does not expose to humid air, so therefore its corrosion is prevented. Oil containing, fats containing food items are flushed with nitrogen. That is an important point. It is flushing, you know the meaning of when the nitrogen gas comes in and the air that is present inside the food packet goes out. That is the meaning of flushing. So oil contain like chips and etc. You know that when you get the potato chips in the market, it is such a bulky packet. And when we open it up, we find few chips in it. So what has happened? These chips are packed in inert atmosphere of nitrogen. Atmosphere is inert. Actually, the best method to pack all these foods are in inert gases, rare gases. Understood it? And inert gases means why it cannot be used, because they are very, very less in the atmosphere. And if you are going to collect these inert gases from the atmosphere, then it becomes quite expensive. Understood it? Therefore, we use nitrogen. Nitrogen is inert in nature, but it is not an inert gas. You know that 76 or 78% of atmosphere is nitrogen. We need nitrogen for our protein development, etc. But that nitrogen we cannot get it from the atmosphere. So the reason is nitrogen does not react with anything under ordinary condition. Nitrogen to react extreme high conditions, voltage, temperature, and etc. are needed. That is the reason you know that during thunder and lightning, nitrogen gets converted into nitrogen dioxide, which gets converted into nitric acid. And that's the reason you know, after the first shower, the plants will have a vigorous growth because it gets one of the primary nutrient, nitrogen. So nitrogen is inert in nature. It is not an inert gas. Normal condition, nitrogen does not react. So understood it? Normal condition, nitrogen does not react. So that is where food materials containing these oil things and other things are packed in inert atmosphere of nitrogen. If it is packed in oxygen, then what has happened? Rancidity takes place. They get spoiled. That is where every packet has got its expiry date. After the expiry, because that particular period of time, it might get reacted with the air, because when it is filled with nitrogen also, one cannot be sure that it is pure hydrogen. It may have some amount of oxygen in it, so that will make the food to react. So inert atmosphere of nitrogen, understood it, to prevent rancidity. Understood it? So again, I'm telling you, it must be packed in inert gases, helium, neon, argon, krypton. And why it cannot be used? Because helium gases, inert gases are very rare in the atmosphere. And from that very rare atmosphere to isolate it, it is very difficult and it becomes very expensive. In that situation, your chips and etc. would be highly costly. So that is where it is filled with, flushed with nitrogen. Understood the meaning of flushing of hydrogen? Nitrogen comes in and air goes out, and that is the meaning of flush. Then explain the corrosion is, that the rusting of iron is known as corrosion, and rancidity. Rancidity is the process of the food material which contain oil and water gets rancid. Rancid means the color, taste, smell, texture, etc. changes. Then the food is said to be rancid, and the process is known as rancidity. All right. This is all. And, like last so this first chapter had the full thing in the last year syllabus, so you should know all these things. Understood it clearly? Then there is a question, why does the color of copper sulfate solution change when iron nail is dipped in it? Isn't it? It's a reaction displacement. CuSO4 plus Fe becomes FeSO4 and Cu. The color of FeSO4 is light green. So the blue color of copper sulfate changes into light green, and the reaction we can write on it. And even I told you that of what I mean to say, that ionic equation. So these all you should know it. Identify the substance that are oxidized and substance that has reduced. Na plus O2 becomes Na2O. There are two reactants, and the product is only one. So to the sodium, oxygen is added. So sodium is oxidized to sodium oxide. Understood it? And the other reactant, that is oxygen, is reduced to sodium oxide. Similarly, copper oxide plus H2 becomes copper plus H2O. Copper oxide is reduced to copper and hydrogen is oxidized to H2O. Remember, oxidation reduction is of only of the reactants and not the product. This particular reactant is oxidized to get the product. So you must see what is the reactant and from which the oxygen is removed or hydrogen is added and etc. or change of electrons, whatever it is, you'll have to see that and see the product where the change is taking place. And accordingly, you need to explain it. Understood it clearly? This is all about displacement. All we have studied it. That colored salt solutions, I told you, Fe, copper, Fe2 plus is light green, Cu2 plus is blue. So these are the few common things that are given in NCERT book. You should know that there are other salts also, but we are concerned about only these. Then the reaction of photolysis, silver chloride on decomposing becomes silver and chlorine, which take place by absorbing light. So these all, one should know that. So that's all in that first chapter. Study it well. All right. Okay, take care.